Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe.
Let us be aware that while they preach the supremacy of the state, declare its omnipotence over individual man, and predict its eventual domination of all peoples on the earth, they are the focus of evil in the modern world. It was C.S. Lewis who, in his unforgettable Screwtape letters, wrote, "The greatest evil is not done now in those sordid dens of crime that Dickens loved to paint. It is not even done in concentration camps and labor camps. In those we see its final result. But it is conceived and ordered, moved, seconded, carried, and minuted in clear, carpeted, warmed, and well-lighted offices by quiet men with white collars and cut fingernails and smooth-shaven cheeks who do not need to raise their voice. But because these quiet men do not raise their voices, because they sometimes speak in soothing tones of brotherhood and peace, because like other dictators before them, they're always making their final territorial demand, some would have us accept them at their word and accommodate ourselves to their aggressive impulses. But if history teaches anything, it teaches that simple-minded appeasement or wishful thinking about our adversaries is folly. It means the betrayal of our past, the squandering of our freedom. So I urge you to speak out against those who would place the United States in a position of military and moral inferiority. You know, I've always believed that old Screwtape reserved his best efforts for those of you in the church. So in your discussions of the nuclear freeze proposals, I urge you to beware the temptation of pride, the temptation of blithely declaring yourselves above it all, and label both sides equally at fault, to ignore the facts of history and the aggressive impulses of an evil empire, to simply call the arms race a giant misunderstanding, and thereby remove yourself from the struggle between right and wrong and good and evil.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
You're full of shit.
Alright, thank you.
Now, shush. Shush.
In any country, prison is where society sends its failures. But in this country, society itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Niggas, you crazy.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Stay shut your mouth, because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical. Hold it.
Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by. Will you shut up,
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I want to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life to her. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You gotta come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I went to an Ivy League school, I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically.
That was...
Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask
Peter,
one other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one other.
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Venkat. Welcome to another edition of TFP, Tape Fist Politics. I'm joined with the most dangerous panel in all of politics. I got MD. What's up, MD?
Peace, power, and reparations. What's up, y'all? What's going on?
All right. And I got Ricardo. Ricardo, what's going on, man?
What's up? What's up? I'm here, man. Doing good.
All right, awesome. So today is the third edition of Tape Fist Politics. The main story today will be Joe Burden. Pretty much Joe Biden being a burden on not just the Democratic Party, but the democratic process itself. So we're going to have a discussion and a talk on the good, the bad, and the ugly with Joe Biden. We're also going to go over, of course, our lame duck session and who will be flying tonight. And we'll have a State of the Union focusing tonight on reparations and some more. But before we get in, I guess Mike didn't get the link. I did put the link in the chat. Let me put it in again just in case he might have missed it. 1 second there. All right, so the link is in the chat, Mike, whenever you get a chance. So we're gonna go right into our main story, our top story today. And today it is Joe Biden, Joe Burden, I should say. And Joe Biden is an interesting politician. He's pretty much been around forever. So he has a lot of experience, good and bad. So at this point, he's sort of polarizing, especially for the people on the right. But let's take a little introduction into our lead story, Joe Burden.
I'm Joe Biden. It's time we had a $15 an hour minimum wage. so families can earn a living and get ahead. As president, I'll make sure we get it done.
Miss Cinema. No.
We will finish the job of getting a total of $2,000 in cash relief to people who need it the most. The $600 already appropriated is simply not enough. You just have to choose between paying rent and putting food on the table. Even for those who've kept their jobs, these checks are really important. You see, if you're an American worker making $40,000 a year with less than $400 in savings, maybe you've lost hours, or maybe you're doing fewer shifts, driving a truck or caring for the kids or the elderly. You're out there putting your life on the line to work during this pandemic and worried every week that you get sick, lose your job, or worse. $2,000 is going to go a long way to ease that pain. I'm not cutting the size of the checks. They're going to be $1,400, period. That's what the American people were promised.
Millions of people need their student loan debt canceled. Mr. President, today would be a great day to cancel $50,000 in student loan debt for tens of millions of people across this country. It is the job of Democrats. It is the job of the party in power to help make people's lives better. We can do that. And the president can do that one all by himself.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
Another thing about how perspectives change over time. Bobby Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, "I'm ashamed that I voted for the '94 crime bill." You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. And in fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
My Democratic colleagues don't like me saying this. I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro, good for the black in the South.
What you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community.
The bipartisan deal to suspend the debt ceiling would end President Biden's federal student loan payment pause, force payments to resume September 1st, and limit new student debt moratoriums. On Tuesday, Democratic Congressmember Ayanna Pressley filed an amendment to remove this section, saying, quote, "The pause on student loan payments has been life-changing for families across the country."
This is President Biden turning his back on student debtors. What this provision in the debt ceiling does is essentially codify an end to the student loan pause. It says not only should student debtors have to resume payments on September 1st, but that the pause can never be extended again. And so what that risks is that should June this month, the Supreme Court rule against student debt relief, student loan borrowers are going to be in what could be the worst financial position they've ever been in, which is going through COVID, having a student debt crisis, but not having their student debt relief and having to resume costly payments.
We've been following this pretty big real estate headline. A Biden administration rule is set to take effect that will force good credit home buyers to pay more for their mortgages to subsidize loans to higher risk borrowers. Let's go out now to Fox Business correspondent Edward Lawrence. He has more on this from Washington.
Starting May 1st, mortgage fees on home loans backed by Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae for people with poor credit will become significantly lower, while fees jump for people with good credit. The former CEO of the Mortgage Bankers Association says this essentially subsidizes those with risky credit.
It's a bad policy step. It lacks integrity. And that's not how we should be making housing policy right now. It should not include tinkering by a regulator for their own, social or political purposes at a time like this.
For example, a person with a 620 FICO score and a down payment of 5% gets a 1 3/4 fee discount on a 30-year mortgage, but those with a score of 740 or above with 15 to 20% down will see an increase of 75% in fees from the current level. This applies to people of all income levels.
We have brand new CNN polling this morning, and those numbers are looking rough for President Biden. Could be a troubling sign for Democrats and the president's hopes for re-election in 2024. Biden's approval rating sinking to 39%. Nearly 60% of voters think Biden's policies are making the economy worse, and close to 70% of Democrats want somebody else to run for president. His overall approval rating among Democratic voters, that's slipping from July. And when it comes to hypothetical matchups between Biden and the leading GOP presidential candidates, it's a tight race with no clear winner.
Except for Nikki Haley, who in this hypothetical matchup is leading President Biden by 6 points, Donald Trump ahead by 1 point.
2/3 of Americans in exit polls say that they don't think you should run for re-election. What is your message to them, and how does that factor into your final decision about whether or not to run for re-election?
It doesn't.
What's your message to them? To those 2/3 of Americans?
Watch me.
Okay, one more. Come on.
All right. That is a video package there just showing some of the, I guess you can't say highlights, but lowlights of Joe Biden. So I'm going to open up to the panel, starting with MD. What do we think, MD?
Hey, you should already know what I think, man. Again, the top protege of the Dixiecrat Army is Joe Biden. For a long time now, people have known that Joe Biden, for the most part, is old school, post-Civil War. I mean, damn, not Civil War, but civil rights Democrat. That's what he is. That's
So
how
he's old enough.
well, civil, okay. Yeah, pretty much. So I guess I should have stuck with Civil War then. but pre-civil rights Democrat ideology is how Joe Biden was taught. All throughout his senatorial career, that's how he voted. That's how he got established. That's what he drafted bills upon, was that ideology. Going as far back as 1984 with the Crimes Act. That was basically in lockstep with the war on quote unquote drugs. All the stuff that he's voted against, like the Civil Liberties Act with the Japanese reparation. Hell, he even voted against Reagan with the implementation of the anti-apartheid in South Africa. This man has been anti-black. It ain't no sentiments involved with anything. Ain't no change of heart, nothing. As when it comes to the things that he's done during his vice presidency and his presidency, all the promises, all of the changes that he championed, it's all for naught, because it's not based upon a certain standard of classism. Well, I won't say it's not based on a certain standard of classism, because it is, because the people that gained the subsidies, gained the acclimates of the policies that he's put in, has been for the most part, higher upper class white people that deem themselves socially involved within the society, meaning that the student loan debt was a pause for the likelihood that people could actually pay after the pause. That's the top class, high wealthy, upper class, liberal white people. The same goes for the COVID allocations. All of this stuff was known before he got into the presidency. I knew it. But because a lot of people don't base their political affiliations on what the policies are in their own communities, they base it off of a devil complex. And so, just like Bobby Rush and so many other Democrats that fall in line with the Democratic Party, they vote for stuff that they have no clear idea of what they're voting for, and they tend to regret it when the aftermath shows. And he's not only to blame. I blame the DNC in large, people like Jamie Harrison, the lead of the DNC, that won't put an opposition to his viewpoint when it comes to policy in the Democratic Party. That's why we have no debates. That's why we don't have any clear opposition to Biden. And you're gonna reap the after effects at the end of the day. Will that mean Trump is back in office? Hey, who could say right now? We'll see in 2024.
I can't disagree with most things you're saying there. Valid points all the way through. Ricardo, what is your take on this?
Can't disagree with MD either on most of the points. I think it's kind of shocking though to even see the reels going back to how his way of thinking has evolved over time. But I don't even think it has evolved either, because there be press conferences where you hear him ramble on about certain things and you're like, what the hell is he talking about? And then you realize when you rewatch these clips that he wasn't far off in the way he thinks in terms of like how he views the African American community, or how he views it's what's the word I'm looking for that I can't there's a word I describe him as, but I'm like, you can't really look past the faulty points that he has. But
The
this is
gaffes. He has a lot of gaffes.
a lot of gaps. That's
And the gaffes are consistent every time.
But my thing is, I don't know who is really advising him. They really are doing a terrible job at it, and it's what scares me about this whole thing. And again, the theory that I shared with both UMD and Mike, I feel is slowly creeping into fruition because of what I'm seeing here, and the clips don't help me either. So I can't blame the African American community, or let's just say it the way it is, the Black community, for having a little bit of, not even little, a lot of reservations about him because of the way he speaks. The crime bill that he signed into play didn't really help him either. And then it doesn't help Kamala's record at the same time, doesn't really help her either. So as MD stated, he is kind of, it's not even, if he's, I wouldn't say he is a Dixiecrat. For a lot of people who don't know what a Dixiecrat is, I can't be bothered to even go into the explanation of what it is. But over time, the Dixiecrats have evolved into the Democratic Party, and they really haven't changed their thought process either. There's a lot of people on the Supreme Court that are also Dixiecrats. So for me, as an independent voter, it becomes very troublesome. And this is where it becomes hard to vote on the lines of the Democratic Party, because are they really for my community, or are they for their own self-interest? And it doesn't help when you have the lobbyist on one hand, and then you have the dirty money of the corporations on the other, and then you have everything else that filter in between, the NRA, and then you have everybody else that, if you get what I'm saying, the dirty politics of it all. Joe Biden is dipped his toes, his hands in every single one of the general, what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm a little bit lost for words today. He's dipped his hand in everything that we've known so far. When it came to Medicare, and when it came to the sign of the bill, anything that had involved the incarceration of the Black people in our community, he has been involved in everything. So his age now shows how his viewpoints and how his voting record has reflected over time. I don't know going forward, because it's such a very hard thing to do now for me as an independent voter to vote just because I'm Democratic for Joe Biden. I don't think that's going to work. And this is where the party now has to do a whole bunch of fixing, because if you're just going to use Kamala to dance at some kind of reception at the White House, you're not doing a good enough job. Because again, Joe is really gothy, and he says a lot of things. That's why I say they call him Uncle Joe. He's that one uncle that says things, and then you're like, oh God, you put your hands over your head and like, what is he saying now? Somebody get him off the mic, get him off the mic quickly. And then he goes, oh, I want to go sleep. Like, did you see the recent interview where he was like, okay, to the press conference, the press corps, he's like, yo, he was seeing a whole bunch of
he said he got to go to bed.
Yeah, and then I got to go to bed. What are you doing? Like, somebody who is advising this man need to advise him properly or get him out of the way, because he's going to be faulty. And I don't know if, when it comes to whosoever the Republican side chooses, when it comes to the debates, I don't know if he's going to be sturdy enough. So if I were the Democratic Party and they want to be smart, I would say, you know what, I'm going to elect to put him, or say something along the lines of, oh, you know, he's going to do surgery on such and such time frame, and see if you could slowly ease him out and do something with it in between that time. But that scares me again, because my theory of Kamala coming in because of that is going to come into fruition. And if you guys are thinking how I'm thinking, it's trouble for this country. And I don't know if we're prepared for what is coming. So let's just see how that pans out. That's my
But
take.
yeah, but Ricardo, you just proved my point. That's not a Biden issue. That's a DNC issue. It's
That's
too late. We almost into 2024.
That's
If
true.
if they had all these premonitions about what Biden is, why are we not having a Democratic primary debate?
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you want to come around and say, oh, maybe Biden not be the guy. Well, you ain't know that a year ago.
Right. Right. Biden originally, he was going to only do one term.
He was
And
supposed.
yeah, it was a known thing that he was just doing. He just wanted to beat Trump, get the one term, and then he was going to be out. All of a sudden, things switched, and I don't understand why. But you know, Biden isn't. I'm more progressive. I like Biden as an individual. I think as a vice president, he was much more effective than many. Mike Pence, Kamala, even Dick Cheney is effective in a negative way. I think Biden steered Obama into areas that Obama may not have dealt with properly had it not been for his advice. And I think that's probably why Obama got him, because he knew he needed that leadership of a person that's been seasoned. So that was a smart move. But he was an effective vice president. But I think that with his age, with his questionable past, and I just don't think a senior citizen should be making decisions right now. I really don't.
Well, let's call it for what it is. He is the eldest president we've ever had governing this country. So you are in charge of the world's most powerful democratic country. And there's a lot of things that we, the people, since we, the people, are the ones that are going to be voting you in, or we have voted you in, expect from you. But at the same time, the people that are behind him, or the people who are, delegating what he does on a daily basis, needs to now step in and say, you know what, sir, now is the time for you to really question, is it the right choice to go forward governing this country, because of the divisiveness that we're seeing. And it doesn't help that your adversary keeps coming up with things that's going to hit you and your family. Like, for instance, the Hunter Biden thing is not going to go away. I don't see the other side losing sleep at this point in trying to get Hunter with the laptop and whatever he has. I mean, there is questionable things that he has done, which I think they were trying to hide or sweep underneath the carpet. But the more you look into it, is the more you're kind of on this side of the political side of, if you're Democratic or if you're independent, go, well, it's a little bit shifty and shady. So if they do find something on Hunter, what are you going to do then? Are you going to then say, oh, you're coming after my kid and you can't do that? He's a grown-ass man at this point. He's almost in his 40s.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, what is this? So there's a lot of things that and to answer your question, Trevor, why are we beholden? I have no idea, because that's where again, you've heard me say,
well,
I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent voter. You can't just show up randomly one day and go, oh, I'm going to go to the church because there's a whole bunch of black people there. I'm going to pray with them. I've heard him say that before, actually, where he's like, I bought Jill and we went to pray. I was angry with God because I lost Bo, and I went to church, and those people in the church, he's talking about the black people, those people in the church, they prayed for me, and I felt a great amount of gospel-y things, and I'm saying to myself, what is he talking about? Like, this is what these people are making this man say in the presence of Black people. This is not it at all. You need to do better. You need to do better.
So the answer, real quick. So to answer Trevor's question, it's hard for Ricardo to answer because his reality doesn't go along with why Black people are so beholden to the Democratic Party, because it was pre-immigration. I mean, just keeping it real, that ain't no knock. It's just what everybody knows. The civil rights movement was predicated upon the efforts of the Democratic Party.
Right.
That was before y'all got here.
That is hilarious, dude.
It is what it is.
I was born here, and I know just as much about it as you do, sir.
No, it's not about see. That's why I said I don't want you to take offense to it.
How can I not?
No, it's because it's not about you having the knowledge about it. It's based upon a certain aspect of my people's reality. The reason why the spotlight on Blacks is the Democratic Party.
Let me ask you a question.
You can't identify with that.
First of all, I can. But do you remember when I said that Black America has no culture? Did you take offense? You remember you told me you took offense to that? And I told you
because it was a dumb thing to say. That's not a dumb thing to say.
And what you said is a dumb thing to say. How are you going to tell me, sir? How are you going to tell me that another people that went through damn near the same thing you went through, just in another country, can't understand what you went through?
That's not what I'm saying. I ain't saying that you.
That's exactly what you said.
Thing.
You said they can't understand
politically
why Black people are beholden. Sir, you had your time. Let me go. You
go ahead.
You saw the power in that? I have my foot down. You said that they can't understand what Black people in America went through because
that ain't
they
what
weren't
I said.
here.
You just lied on me. That ain't what I said.
That's not what you didn't just say. They can't understand why. Okay, excuse me. They can't understand why Black people are beholden to the DNC.
I said they couldn't understand the political reality because y'all weren't involved in it. That's just true.
But you're acting as if the political realities in America are foreign to the world. You're acting as if America is the only place where the white supremacy divisiveness occurred. It hasn't.
But I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at it from that aspect, though, Mike. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I wasn't looking at the Black American culture, quote unquote, from your aspect. I was looking at it from mine. And you can't. You know what the PNP is?
The People's National Party.
This is what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
You know nothing, Mike. Sir, you know nothing about the politics that happened in Jamaica, and it's literally, and I'm telling you, you could make a what? You remember those little back in school where they had those little clear plastic things, and they would just lay them over, and you would just keep learning, and it would just go over the net. You know what I'm saying? You could lay over the political system of America, and just to a smaller scale, it's the same thing. It's the same foolishness. Two white men standing up, one of them telling, hey, y'all better stick on this side, and the other one telling you, hey, don't listen to that. It's the same thing. I guarantee you, none of us have studied Haitian politics. None of us have studied Trini politics. I bet if you go to any country where it's a majority Black, I bet it's the exact same way. I bet they got their own Trump. Shoot, they got a dude called Filipino Trump.
True.
He's just as bad.
He's just as bad. True. I agree.
Any minority,
but he'll kill your
does the exact same thing across the board.
Yeah. All right. Let me know when you finish.
I would love to finish. It's only been like 2 to 3 minutes.
I just said let me know when you finish. Keep going.
All right. It's been white supremacy is white supremacy is white supremacy. It doesn't matter. The only difference is who's the minority we're stomping on. Are we stomping on women this week? Are we stomping on gays this week? Are we stomping on dark Blacks? Are we stomping on light Blacks? It's the same thing everywhere. And I find it highly offensive. Not really. I'm just saying that for dramatic effect. I find it highly offensive. I'm still going to repeat it. I find it highly offensive, sir, that me, a Black person who was born in America, Brooklyn, New York, stand up, Crown Heights, you know what it is. But to Jamaican parents, and to have you tell me I can't understand the complexities of the Black political process in America makes no sense to me because I lived it. That. I grew. That's what I heard, sir. In my story, that's what you said. So, in the story I told, that's what you said, sir. So, I grew up I grew up getting trickled down on. I grew up with the Reagan foolishness. I grew up with the black people giving their love to an idiot because he played a saxophone. I grew up through that, and me pointing at people going, you saw what he just did, right? Nah, he cool. He the first black president. No, the hell he's not. He is not. He is a white man. He is literally a centrist. He is not even progressive. He's as close to being a Republican as you can be and still be a Democrat. That's what Clinton was. And
That's a great point, Mike.
Every Democrat since has
fact.
followed suit, including Obama, which is why I don't really mess with him. And that's why Bernie for life. I'm going to shut up. Go ahead, Venkat. My bad.
Okay, all right, real quick, Venkat, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, MD.
The original question was, why are black people beholden to the Democratic Party? Did you answer that?
I would love to answer that. The reason they're beholden to is because, number one, before there was the switch, when Republicans and the Democrats did the little flip, when Democrats were the super racist and Republicans were we're mildly racist. Then when the civil rights, what was it, 60? I can't think of the name. It was the one that everyone marched and Martin Luther King.
64, 65.
I was born in 80. My bad. Damn, I just told everybody. I always try to hide it. Anyway, plus my memory's horrible. ADHD. When that happened, everybody knows. I think even the president said it when this goes after Kennedy died. I think it was Lyndon B. Johnson that said it. When this passes, we'll have the blacks for the rest of the time, or a multitude of generations, or something like that. And that's why the Republicans switched what they were doing and jumped on board with if we can't get the Negroes back, we're gonna go for the super duper rednecks. And that's what they did, and they did a much better job than Democrats have, because Democrats have realized black people ain't going nowhere because they have nowhere else to go. They have nowhere else. They feel like Republicans are the devil. They've been told Republicans are the devil for the entirety of their life, and in church by their pastors, by their politicians. Everyone said they're the devil, so they're terrified to look at them. I'm not as terrified, but I do have an issue jumping in a party where if I go to a rally, I might get shot because who let this nigger in my rally?
Right, 100%. And it cannot be overstated, and it cannot be overlooked. The reason, to answer Trevor's question, so again, why are black people so beholden to the Democratic Party? It's not necessarily. It's your best option that you have when you have a Republican Party. That's what it is. And we have to be real. There's only two real parties. Any other party, the Green Party or whatever party they try to do that's not properly funded, I wish they would break it down to 6 parties and we could really have a real defined, different options for people to really go by. But right now we just got the 2, and both sides are lazy on how they approach their voters. So we as voters need to make these bastards work and earn their money. Treat them like strippers. Let them shake that ass before you give up those dollars. They got to earn that dollar. And they're not earning it right now because we got lazy voters, uninformed people that are just playing my team politics, and that's not going to get it done. So right now we're in a predicament with Joe Biden, which is a burden on the Democratic Party and America as a whole, because we need better options. And there are way better options in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, quite frankly. Trump is not, it's not like, Trump is, it's like the same issue in both parties. 2 old ass geezers holding the parties hostage so that they can so they can't move on to what they need to be.
No, sir. I disagree. First of all, MD, could I get a one-word answer? Did I get it right?
Hold on, say what?
Did I get it right when I answered the question? Did you agree with me?
No.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that later. That's my dog. That's my dog. I like new information. That's how you learn. Sir, it is not these 2 geezers. These 2 geezers are literally cogs. Because if you looked at when they were running in the primaries and all you heard was Biden doesn't want to run. Biden's not going to run. He thinks it's stupid. No, I'm not going to do it. We have all these other young people. Let them run. Right. And everybody was cool with that until they saw, we're not going to win. Then it was, hey, bro, I know you wanted to relax on your catch-up money, but could you come do us a solid real quick? You just got to run once. Just do it once, and then we'll have somebody I almost said something stupid. I ain't gonna say it. We'll have somebody get rid of that guy after you win, and then we'll get somebody else in there. Come on. And he was like, oh, okay, fine. Bro, it's the system. The whole system is trash. And you can't fix the system because, and I know everyone hates to hear when I say it, this is my second buzz phrase. It's not about thoughts when we're talking about politics. It's about white supremacy. Because white supremacy will not allow the system to change. Why? Because the white middle class will never give up their power to be not them. They love to have that, well, at least I'm not them. And to keep that, at least I'm not them, they will back up every racist rhetoric that the GOP says, and they will not stop. They will ignore the super racist, even if they're not. They will ignore the dog whistles, even though they hear them loud and clear. They'll ignore every little nugget that tells them this is wrong. Why? The same reason Jane Elliott told that group of white people in the auditorium, well, how come you guys don't help black people then? Same reason they all put their hands down and looked around and looked guilty. Because they don't want to be us. They want to be above us. Even if they can't be the elite, at least we ain't them Negroes. That's why it'll never change. That's why I'm a fatalist and an independent. Everyone join my team. Unless you get rich, then let's the spook will sat by the door, but that's another topic. Go ahead, sir.
Ricardo, anything you want to add?
Oh, sir, he sums up everything that I wanted to convey as well. Pretty much fast.
All right. Okay, so then we're going to go to the next segment. We're going to go into a little bit of news pieces, look at some polls and some graphs. So it'll be what's going on in political news. All right. So right here we were speaking earlier about the ages of the geezers. So let's go ahead and examine these two geezers. So Joe Biden is age 80. All right. So he's 80 years old, all up in here, holding it up. And we got Donald Trump, 77 years. So practically about just under 4 years apart, about 3 years, between the two. Now, when we look at senators, we have some really old senators. But the saddest part is that everything is old. Congress is old. The Senate is old. The Supreme Court is old. And this is very troubling for a number of reasons. But again, they're making policies in the now. And for tomorrow, they may not be here. And I just think that this has somehow got to change, because I don't think this is what was meant. These offices weren't meant to be held for this long period of time. What do you guys think?
Agreed.
I'll let MD go because I cut him off last time. or I'll just talk.
Oh, my bad. I was muted. My bad. My fault.
I know you over there making bread, bro. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I agree with you, Venkat. It something has to change, but I look at it from the aspect of the people that's voting the electorate's in, right? When we talk about changing of policy, when we talk about societal change, ultimately it's up to us to do it. And we do that based on our vote. That's the weapon. When we do the go along with the get along with people like Feinstein and James Clyburn and hell, even Nosferatu Joe Biden, we tend to get complicit in what we view as a societal normality when it comes to politics, and that's the problem. That's why you got people like Trump that has broken the mold. And you could disagree with it, you could disagree with his policy, you can call him what you want, but the fact of the matter is, Trump has been able to break the mold of what go along with the get along GOP Republican is. Right, wrong, and indifferent. That ain't for me to say.
But
you know what I'm saying?
Real quick, but okay, so I always think about like with what Trump did or is doing, right? What if he was smart? I don't mean he's a dumbass, like a complete dumbass, right? But what if he was smart? What if he was tactical? What if he was strategic? What if he had patience? And what if he planned and plotted? He would have been the most dangerous. There were so many opportunities, right? He could have done certain things as regard into healthcare. He could have passed so much legislation, and the Democrats wouldn't have opposed him. It would have been similar to what happened with Ronald Reagan in the 80s. Ronald Reagan came in with a big tidal wave, just swept through the election and got this landslide victory. And pretty much the Democrats took heed of that, and they didn't obstruct like they did Barack Obama. So at that point, he had moments, actual moments, I remember very vividly, where he could have done things, but he chose to be petty. He chose to be about himself, and he really didn't have any policies. A lot of his policies came from like his buddies and friends and whatnot. Why was there a Muslim ban? Why was there a Muslim ban? That wasn't a Trump thing. That was his whole homeboy down there doing that.
Yeah, and that was a pandering thing,
exactly,
and that goes back to my point. Trump was able to make I guess at that time a finite base of Republican constituency an impact player, a la the extreme MAGA racists. You know what I'm saying? I don't disagree with that. But he was able to do it in a way where he opposed certain ideology within the Republican Party. That's an impact. Whether you agree with it or not, that's an impact. What the problem was, what we have in a lot of these these congressional districts, is they used to the complacency of the particular candidate that they deal with year after year after year after year. And
right
they
on
base
the head.
it off right. And they base it off of usually it's 1 point. And that 1 point is enough to be a deal breaker. And you don't have a lot of young up and coming politicians that are willing to break the mold away from their respective parties, and that's the issue.
A lot of people playing it safe.
Right.
Yeah, it's frustrating because that's why the changes that you want, the changes you believe you're gonna get, is so painstakingly slow and a lot of times not as potent. Like in that video, you see Joe Biden talking about, I'm going to get $15 minimum wage. The problem with that, though, is that there were 2 or 3 congressmen that were connected directly to him that voted the way he wanted them to vote. And they all voted no, which is a reflection on Biden. He's just saying that because he knows that's what people want to hear. But then, the action wasn't there. $15 minimum wage was a layup. Some of these, the $2,000, him cutting it down to 14, that another layup. But he was very willing and eager to to do these things. And it's just disingenuous, especially when you look back at election night when he was doing his, well, you know, when he finally did his little speech that he won, when he came out and he won. And the things he said in that speech about practically saying he owes the black community and, you know, women and all these people that came out for him and gave him, they handed him the single highest vote count in American politics history, not just in modern time, not just that year, in history. So yeah, he's gonna have hell to pay, and it's gonna come hard. But the problem is, yeah, the problem with that is it's like a double fist hit. You're gonna get hit one way or the other, whether it's not holding Biden accountable and then him getting over, or Trump not holding him accountable and him getting over. It's just a bad scenario both ways. And I feel like if Trump was not running, Biden wouldn't have ran. Because Biden knows that his best shot is if Trump is running, because people were voting against Trump more so than they were voting for Biden.
But it's also a fact, though, Venkat, that Joe said originally when Trump was coming out for his first term to run, that he would have ran, but then we all know that Bo died. And he said, I wasn't strong enough to do it, but the party was pushing me to actually run. And I think I would have beaten Trump at that point. Woulda, coulda, shoulda doesn't help you at this point, because we all saw what the end result ended up being. And it pushed from I hate to say it because, you know, Mike ends up being right here. The white supremacist side was so angry with Obama for so long, for the 8 years, that when they saw the opportunity presents itself with Trump, they jumped on that bandwagon as quickly as they could, and they ran very hella fast.
But let's not get that twisted either, though.
True.
Because during those Obama years, voter turnout was much, much higher. And that 2016 wasn't as high as those Obama years. So that meant that not only did the Bernie people stay home and said, frig that, we're not voting, but then a whole other segment as well did not vote. So out of 100%, typically our highest amount of turnout is 60%, which is pathetic. That gives a whole 40%. That's a party in itself right there. So that part of the story needs to be recognized. It's not that Trump went out there and was some marvelous darling. Now, he lived through that. He lost the popular vote by 3 million. So there's issues there. And Hillary Clinton, bitch ass, she went out there and cheated, whether it was getting the notes before that debate, which was so petty and lame, or what she did to Bernie. So she got hers too. And then after she lost, she went ahead pandering about, I'm putting out this book about how that got cheated. I don't want to hear that crap. So, I mean, everybody going to get it, you know, because it's not about, you see, everybody else is playing team sports with this. I'm not. I need these puppets, these friggin' politicians, to move in the direction I need them to move. That's how everybody should be thinking about this. You don't be looking about, my Republican or my Democrat. It's just the two parties are so starkly different that you have no choice but to go that one way. I want to go other ways. But then you have the Republican Party talking about, if it's not a legitimate rape, the body can shut down and then they won't get pregnant and all this other nonsense. hanging out in front of Burger King trying to pick up 12-year-olds and crap, and then running for a governorship. That's ridiculous. So I know these characters, these quacks, and so the other people that don't pay attention to it, it's harder for them.
Sir,
but again, go ahead. My bad.
You forget where you live. Have you seen the voter turnout for American Idol?
Wait. If we're going to use the American Idol analogy, though, we always know how American Idol people vote. If you've ever watched that show, you could have person that is from Wild Kentucky and somebody else from New York. Guess who always wins the vote though? Guess who?
I don't watch that foolishness.
But that's what I'm saying. If you watch the show, it's almost
Not
reminiscent
Kentucky.
though, because American Idol will show you like the country hick will always win over somebody who's from New York any day, because the Bible Belt always votes in huge numbers, and that's all.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm telling you.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That is where it'll always be them, because they actually see their vote as meaning something. The others, quote unquote, do not, never have. A small majority of them do. That's why when they finally got a black guy, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna make this happen." And then when there's no more black guy, I was like, this guy's wife made ketchup. I'm going back home. Like that, it is what it is, and that has been made, cultivated, and sourced by white supremacy in America. Making sure black people always feel disenfranchised, making sure black people always see that you might be a whole 5/5, but you still ain't us. It is what it's what it is. People, I once had a conversation. I was buying something from this lady and her husband, and I was at their house late at night. We were talking, and I was like, "Yo, you guys know who you voting for?" And they looked at me and were like, "It don't really matter who we vote for. They're going, whoever's going to win's going to win." And I was like, but you want Trump to win? I'm like, Trump's going to win. Like I'm telling y'all. They were like, Trump was always going to win. If he's going to win, he's going to win. There's people that really, there's people that believe in that and believe in more in the Illuminati than they do in their vote.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That is what it is. It's that when I brought up American Idol, people will die to get their vote. And I have to vote. I have to make sure Ruben wins. When it comes to this, show you how pathetic it is. You have what, like an hour to vote in American Idol?
Yes, you do.
You can literally have your voter ballot mailed to you. You could have it mailed to your house and then mail it in when you get time. People still won't vote. It will never happen. This country, the minorities have always been distant. Well, I'm not going to say the minorities. I'm going to say the black minorities, because Spanish people damn sure jumped on their joint when they could do it. Asians damn sure jumped on their joint. Jews, you have to say the whole Jewish. My Jewish friend told me if I say Jews, even though I don't mean it horribly, some Jews will take it. Jewish people will take it bad. So the Jewish community will, they jump on and they get their community on. That's why I say there's no culture. Sorry, MD, no disrespect. Because there was never a unifying feature. There was nothing. The only thing they had that made a slave in a slave in Georgia, understand a slave in Mississippi, was that they were slaves. It was terror. That's all it was. And when they got out of that, they didn't have there was no connection. There was no, hey, Mississippi guy, what's up with you? Oh man, I don't know. Do you remember when they used to do this to us? The only connection they have is torture, is slavery, is the horrible things that happen to them. That's not a culture. That shared, that it could be used as one, which is what they did, because it's a shared experience, but it's not a culture. A culture is something good. A culture is something at least the status quo believes is good. That's what maybe I wasn't saying it right. That's what the problem is. There's nothing for black people to rally around. The closest they've ever had is the church and hip hop. That's it. That's the closest they've come. The church and hip hop. The church got demonized and destroyed by white supremacy. Look how they sold out for Trump. And hip hop got, let me guess, destroyed by white supremacy. They had a whole bunch of guys who were saying, fight the power, stand up for yourself, learn about what black people were doing back then. Hey, this Kufi ain't stupid. Learn about where the Kufis came from. Learn about Africa. Learn about yourself. Africa's not a continent. Africa's not a country. It's a continent. There's a bunch of different spots in Africa. Learn where you came from. And then it became, girl, I'll make him eat my coochie on a Thursday while I'm eating a cookie. That's music.
Yeah,
That's music.
The subject matter's definitely changed over time, for sure.
What?
All right, so let's go into another poll here. So Joe Biden, he's having some issues with his polling, and it's going back for a while. So last year, his lowest 36%. January 23, 41%. He bumped up a little, 45% in February, but then to go back down again by March, 38. And pretty much he's in the 30s the majority of the time up to now. It's a cause for pause, a little bit of concern there, but I mean, I still feel he's ultimately gonna win because the resistance for Trump is just right there. You got to remember, Donald Trump, since 2016, which he didn't believe he would win, he was ready to, he was as shocked as anybody when he won. That's from eyewitnesses that were around at that night in the election. So 2016, push that to the side. You look at the elections of 2017, loss. 2018, loss. 2019, loss. In 2020, he lost. And then 2022, he lost. Where people that he endorsed, the majority, they lost. Or certain major races for the Republican Party in those times, and they've lost. He's been on a hell of a losing streak right now. So, but you cannot understate this issue that Biden's having right now, which is an image issue right now that he has. And then here we have, of course, Trump lost by 7 million in the popular vote in the last election. Now, in the current polling for the Republican Party, he's up 62%. So he's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he will be the nominee. Unless an asteroid falls on him, he'll pretty much be the nominee. Now, head to head in 2024, in polling, Joe Biden is showing 49% to Trump's 44%. That's pretty interesting. Even with all that being said, this goes back to the summer, midsummer, July. This poll was conducted. Here's another poll. This is a poll for each party. For the Democrats, 50%, or between Democrats and left-leaning independents, 50% of those people pick Joe Biden. Whereas Republicans and right-leaning independents, it came up to 42%. Now you got to figure that 42% is being dragged down mainly because of those independents. What do you think about that, Ricardo?
In the grand context and scheme of things. All right, so looking at the numbers right now, it's fascinating just to even watch. My thing is, if Joe is sinking and he can't hold on to the 45% mark, what does that say for him going forward? Because the president always lingers at the 40-something mark, right? If I'm not mistaken, they
right.
Always hover around the 45 going into the 50% percentile. If you can't hold on to that, at least going to 40%, which is close that you should be at, and it's not even a good number to be at, then that's really troubling if I'm the Democratic Party right now. That is not a good thing to see right now.
Right.
So how do we fix that? If I'm thinking like how, if I'm a strategist on the Democratic side, how do you fix that issue? Seeing that the one person that you who is a thorn in your side is still very popular. Mind you, he's going to be tied up in litigation going forward, and he's trying his hardest not to be, but he's more than likely going to be the party's nominee. So how do you fix that issue? Because that's troubling for me as an independent voter to watch and to be observing right now. He can't even hold the 45 percentile for popular the popular, like in terms of being favorable in the American eyes. That's kind of scary.
Right.
You know what I mean? If that's the only thing I could really say at this point, that's a little bit troubling to observe right now.
Okay, and then here we have the funding as far as Republicans and Joe Biden's funding. So Joe Biden is getting a lot of money, corporate money, mind you. I don't think that's like small dollar donations. I think that's corporations all the way. But it's always funny when you see like a corporation, they're giving to the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, you know. It's always funny to see that. But he is outraising funds for his run at the presidency at a large margin. I mean, it's not even close. So that's one positive for him, but that could also be looked at as a negative as well. And then, yeah, oh, for sure. And then for jobs, Biden. This is the thing with Biden. You know, they're comparing him here to the first 10 months of the presidency. Now, mind you, Biden had COVID. You know, he had like the back end part of COVID that he had to deal with. But you could see jobs created. It's not even close. It's not even close. George W. Bush, George W. Bush in the negative, the only one in the negative. But I mean, there are positives there, but I think with Biden's inability to message, this is one of the strengths of Donald Trump. He knows how to say things and consistently say things over and over, whether it's true or not. Just say it in a way, you know, like Mexico's going to pay for it. You know, we know it's not going to happen, but if he just says it over and over, it becomes this catchphrase.
You know,
and it
Venkat,
just sticks.
I'm sorry, I disagree with that too. I don't think he's great at messaging. I think his base is just willing to believe whatever. The problem is the Democrats, sad to say it, they think even they know that the Republicans are doing stupidness, but they still expect their guys to do better. A lot of the Democratic base, not the DNC, the Democratic base, the people, they think they're the good guys. They think they're the right team.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that.
So they don't. You could come out and say, "You remember when that guy was showing his penis to everybody, shaking the pictures? Oh, I'm sorry, they got him out of there. Like, yeah, come on, bro,
yeah, Wiener.
Yeah.
Wiener.
And then when the Republican guy did it,
it's funny. His name is Wiener. I mean, it's crazy.
Funny. That's hilarious. He was on brand. He was on brand.
Yeah.
Then when the he was on brand. Then when the Republican guy did it, he just came out like, "Hey, man, nah," and they're like, "You gonna give up your position?" No.
Nope. Yeah.
And he didn't. And then they were like, "Cool," because that's what they do. They don't have to worry about morals. They don't have to worry. They can just go, "Nah, we ain't doing it."
Yeah, the rules are definitely different because the bar is so much lower on the Republican side. There's video of Donald Trump, I think back in the 90s, it might have been on Oprah, where he said if he ran for president, he would run under the Republican Party. Because,
Barbara Walters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So, I mean, even back then, he recognized the ridiculous nature of the Republican Party. Okay, so unemployment. This is unemployment claims. So, you know, when he took office, 828,000. Then he brought it down to 198,000. So, I mean, there's things, but he just doesn't know how to convey those things. So everything is a mystery. And I think that's a hindrance, whereas Trump, whether he got it or not, he's going to flaunt. I mean, I tell Trump all the time, you know, Trump took a lot of credit for Obama policies.
Yes, he
and
did.
he just ran with that.
Yes, he did.
You know, he never enacted any policy to support him talking about Latinos earning more and blacks earning more. He doesn't have one policy that would have even created that scenario. That came from the Obama administration. But, you know, he knows how to repeat it over and over, and then people start to believe the bull. All right, so we're at the point right now where we're going to do my favorite and your favorite. You know it. Lame duck session. Time to start flying.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready?
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys. I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced. I'm tired of being quiet. I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Okay, and tonight's lame duck is going to be Enrique Tarrio. This is I butchered the guy's name. I didn't mean to. So this is the Proud Boys leader, the guy that started the Proud Boys. So let's take a quick look at a video package here about our newest lame duck.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Who would
right
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
Boys.
Boys, stand back and stand by.
Next tonight, a former leader of the far-right extremist group, the Proud Boys, sentenced to 17 years in prison for his actions on January 6th. Joseph Biggs, a military veteran, tearful today, pleading for leniency before receiving one of the longest sentences so far.
Tonight, despite tearful pleas in court, former Proud Boys Lieutenant Joseph Biggs now sentenced to 17 years for what the judge called his role in a national disgrace, the second longest sentence imposed in the more than 1,100 criminal cases resulting from the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Biggs, an Army veteran, was convicted of seditious conspiracy for plotting the riot with other leaders of the far-right group.
So we just stormed the Capitol.
This video of Biggs on January 6th was shown during his trial, as well as this selfie from inside the Senate chamber. Prosecutors said Biggs had been an influential proponent of the group's shift towards political violence after Donald Trump lost the election. Ultimately, prosecutors argued he was party to the first breach of the Capitol's perimeter and even after the attack declared it a warning shot to the government. Another former Proud Boys member, 30-year-old Zach Reel, was sentenced today to 15 years in prison for his role in the Capitol riot. He told the court he had lost track of what mattered most and had let politics consume his life. The former head of the Proud Boys will be sentenced next week.
We are following breaking news right now. A former Proud Boys leader sentenced for his role in the Capitol riot.
And Nicole is in our newsroom with the very latest on this developing story.
Janice and Christy, a federal judge handing down the sentence to Enrique Tarrio, 22 years in prison for seditious conspiracy in connection to the January 6th Capitol attack. As you mentioned, he's the former Proud Boys leader from right here in South Florida. He was found guilty of orchestrating the riot from members at the far-right extremist group. He was not actually in Washington the day of the attack, but prosecutors say he was the ringleader. Prosecutors were initially seeking 33 years, which is the longest sentence, instead giving him 22 years related to the Capitol attack. He's the last of 5 Proud Boys defendants to be sentenced. He and 3 other members were also found guilty of seditious conspiracy. And before the sentencing, he spoke. He apologized for the, quote, pain and suffering that law enforcement, legislators, and others suffered on January 6th and vowed to have nothing to do with politics, groups, activism, or rallies. So again, a federal judge sentencing Enrique Tarrio from right here in South Florida to 22 years in prison for seditious conspiracy.
Former Proud Boys leader and South Florida native Enrique Tarrio now serving a historic sentence for his role on January 6, 22 years in prison.
The estimation from the government is that there were more than 1,000 Proud Boys compared to more than 100 Oath Keepers. Tarrio's lawyer says because he was the leader, he took the biggest hit when it came to sentencing.
All right, what do we think about the Proud Boys leader getting 22 years? We'll start with Mike because he loves the white supremacists.
I'm gonna try not to, because I think I've gone on for a little while today. I'm gonna try to relax. I'm taking a breath. I don't think he's gonna serve that time. I think we're gonna have some kind of thing happen, and he's not gonna serve. He's either gonna die or he's gonna get out early. I think the leader alone might serve 10. I don't think they're gonna serve that much time. I'm telling you, white supremacy will come around. They will find a reason. Good behavior, a threat to his life. You remember when they said that one kid had what's it called when you're rich? Damn it, starts with an A.
And you're talking about influenza.
Yeah, he was affluent.
Yeah.
He couldn't go to jail. He was affluent. Or you couldn't molest that woman. He only touched the titty for less than 10 seconds. White supremacy will find a reason to get you back out on the street, to get your white supremacist on. It's not gonna stop. You'll see. Remember I said that. Somebody write that down. Remember I said it. Them dudes gonna get out early. Something gonna happen. They're gonna get out early or they're gonna get killed in jail. One of those two.
So the touching the titty for 10 seconds is kind of like the 5-second rule when something falls on the floor.
It's even worse because at least in the 5-second rule, both you and the food get to do your purpose. Touching the titty, the girl just gets to feel horrible.
Oh, now I got that straight now.
You feel me?
What you think, Ricardo?
Man. My favorite tagline in all this is you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. But at this point, I mean, are we the least bit surprised by this? But at the same time, I'm kind of intrigued as to how they're able to collectively find all these people, because we all thought they were all going to get away scot-free.
Well, they snitched on themselves with social media. They posted videos and pictures. They pretty much snitched on themselves.
But they're so proud of it too, because they're following this man that they thought was going to save them in the end, and he's like, I had nothing to do with. Oh my God, I didn't tell these people to gather up as a crowd and then maliciously go and storm the Capitol. I just told them I just wanted to have a talk with everybody, and they literally go, oh, he said he was going to come back, and no, baby, you played stupid games, you win stupid prizes, so here you are, you're going to jail for 20 years. Unlike Mike, who is a fatalist in all of this, I do feel like he will serve some substantial amount of time. I do hate to say it, though. I feel like he's going to get out quite easily, because there's always that one person lingering somewhere that want to use this as a crutch to say, you know what, the Proud Boys did something for us on that day, so might as well throw him a free will card. Let's just get him out. So there's probably somebody with like I want to see like a multimillionaire. This stuff that I'm making up or conjuring up in my head. A multimillionaire type of person that's really a white supremacist undercover. That's going to be like, I'm just going to throw him a bone and say, hey, you know, he did law in prison, and so let him out easily because he did law and he's good for our country. Something along that lines, like the same thing like Mike says, they're going to come up with some way to let him out. Mind you, he's Latino, so I still fail to see how, you know, white supremacy is very intriguing to me, because here you have a Latino who is not, but he proudly want to say he, you know, never mind. You could go to MD, because it's like me going into a rabbit hole, and I don't want to do it.
I'll gladly explain it really quick too. They're not us. That's all it is. So, as long as there's Negroes, there's a bottom floor.
Very true.
And everybody's fighting to stay in their lane. The whites are like, we're not them. And the Latinos are like, well, we're bad, but we're not them. Hey, there's a lot of us that look white. Look at that. Oh, we're light skinned. We speak another language. We're not them. That's all it is. We're not them.
But what
they just want to keep their not themness.
But what about the black Latinos? There's white Latinos and there's black Latinos. So how does that work?
Have you not seen how black Latinas hate their skin? Have you not seen how so many don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of them that love being Afro-Latina, but you go to certain parts of certain countries, I'm not going to mention them, Dominican Republic, you go there and they got that word India, whereas I could send you videos where they have the Aunt Jemima in the we don't like just the type of slavery that they had there. They felt like they were part of the slave master's family. They were helping him build his brand. They weren't treated as bad as the blacks. just on the same island. And they feel like that if they have black people who are in their culture that they destroyed the statues and built them back as white people. Go look it up if you think I'm lying.
Facts. No, I believe you. I absolutely believe you. I've seen it.
Man, that's sad, bro. Y'all throwing y'all Afro-Cuban Caribbean brother under the bus. That's sad.
Hey, if they Sam,
Andy
if they
from the
Sam, you
Andy
Sam
from the
too,
country
Negro.
of Andy from the country of South Florida. God damn, y'all ain't showing no love. Y'all ain't showing no love to your brother.
I'm from Brooklyn.
Well, I got you. But I'll say this and you know, not notch this in the notes, Venkat.
Yep.
He'll be out in a year and a half.
Okay.
A year and a half.
MD would give him like 5 to 10 years.
So MD.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I just want to say this though. So he's in there for sedition, aka pretty much the modern Benedict Arnold, right?
But it's not high treason. Sedition and high treason are two different charges.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Trump will pardon him in the beginning of his term.
Ooh.
And he'll be out in a year and a half.
Do any of you know how Benedict Arnold died?
Nah, that's a good question.
Do any of you know how he got it? All you know is that he was a traitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, look that up.
But didn't he defect it to the other side, or did I mistake that?
Yeah, he said I'm riding with the British. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying, look it up. There's a whole lot of things they tell you half of it, and they don't tell you the other half. Just like World War I. What'd you learn? Does anyone know how World War I started other than Ferdinand was shot? Anybody?
And then because one side said if the other side gets thing, they have to retaliate because they formed some alliance.
Ricardo, you are the first person in my life that has answered that question. Everybody else just says because they shot the Archduke Ferdinand, because that's all they teach you. Nope. I had to do research to find out the rest.
There is an alliance that was formed, and as a result, it's the same thing with NATO. It's anything that starts a war is because of an alliance. If
I am upset that you know that. I felt special.
Okay.
I'm glad MD was quiet. He ain't know either.
hey, if you gonna put me on the Magic School Bus, do it, bro. Like I ain't got no problem with that.
The Magic School Bus.
Hey, most people was riding with you, my dog. Trust me, nobody in the chat knew the answer.
Oh my God!
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we all learn every day, man.
Big facts. I learn from you on a regular basis. That's why I listen to you.
I'm a history,
but yeah, he'll be out in a year and a half though. Bank on it, Venkat. Bank on it.
Now remember what I said.
Tape machines are rolling.
I said the other people will get out fast. The main dude, I think they're going to hold in just because when they release him, they're going to test the market to see if it makes any noise. They're going to be like, oh, we let him out. Anything. And if nothing happens, which I'm pretty sure nothing will happen because black people only stay angry for the 2-3 weeks until the next cycle pops. Facts. And then Megan puts out another song.
Facts.
Then they'll let them all out and they'll be right back at it. They'll call them something else. They won't be Proud Boys. They'll be patriotic guys or some bull crap.
One thing I want to do say, if you remember and you remember the moment when January 6th happened and how we all felt like, oh my God, all these white people, they didn't get shot or nothing, right? Yep. And you're like, all this time passed by and really they even took a dump on Nancy Pelosi's desk. I mean, they did all kinds of things. 5 people dead, dozens injured.
They beat a black cop up like he was a punk.
Right. Well, black and white. Then they squished that guy.
White cops.
Well, they squished that guy to death. I mean, it was crazy. So you remember that moment, and then the weeks and the months after, and nothing was happening because they were building their cases, and then slowly but surely, people started going to jail, going to prison. And I mean, that 22 years is not even the highest amount of time. There's another guy that I think he got like 30 something years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
they don't build cases when it's us, bro. Yeah. Shock and awe, gas and shotguns and beanbags, and you go into jail that night. Ain't no building cases looking on the internet. They shoot you, lock you up, and then go, well, let's go find this evidence.
But if we were wind back 2 years, people would be thinking like, Trump ain't going to prison. Trump ain't going to get charged. This ain't going to happen. Oh, those people at the January 6th, they're not going to be held accountable. And like now you fast forward to right now and you see the things are happening. Would it be nice if it was quicker? Yeah, but still it's happening. So we just got to wait and see how things develop because I think there's more to come.
I apologize, big dog, but the only reason these people are going to jail now is because the government was embarrassed. The government wasn't. You don't.
I don't care about the
my
motivation. I just need them to do something. The motivation don't matter to me.
They're gonna tap them on the wrist, and you heard what MD said. I don't think it'll be a year. I think it'll be 5-10. But they're gonna be out on the streets walking, just like what's his name that killed the young dude in the hoodie. I am the worst at names. Horrible at names.
What's his name?
Some long name. The dude who killed Trayvon.
Oh yeah, Zimmerman.
Zimmerman.
Yeah. Zimmerman.
That man should be dead.
He should be dead already. He should have been dead
3 times over.
Yeah,
but we're forgetting also, like, not to add to it, but Casey Anderson still got away with murder too. She killed her kid, right? And so nothing surprises us at this point.
Casey Anderson went to prison, didn't she? I think she did.
Man, for a little bit, but I think she's free now.
What you talking about?
She's free now.
OnlyFans. Okay, I ain't know.
On OnlyFans, getting them cheeks smattered out.
All right, so now's the point of the show where we go to the State of the Union. Today's State of the Union, we're going to be focused on reparations. So let's go ahead and get into that.
If you take $350,000 or $840,000 and you write a check to any group of people, black, white, poor, homeless, whatever, you give any group of people that much money and say, there you go, best of luck, and you come back in 6 months, they're going to be broke. So whatever reparations are done, that would be an absolute disaster as opposed to guidance and help in creating generational wealth as opposed to income.
Right.
That would be an absolute disaster.
No one ever says that that there's going to be mismanagement of funds when we're talking about the distribution of reparations payments to other communities.
I just said it. I just said you give that money to anybody, they're going to mismanage it. They're going to blow it.
Let's see. A useful reparation. You know what? Oh, let me tell you. Cancel the credit. Cancel what you owe. Let me tell you something. That, it's funny because in the Bible they had it was something like they called it the Jubilee, and every 7 years your credits were wiped out. And let me tell you something, you need that. We should have kept that because every 7 years you get to start over. But the way we do it in America is you keep it forever, and it's ridiculous. And I think that every 7 years we need to cancel all what anybody owes anybody so that everybody can get a fresh start because you deserve it. In fact, everybody on earth is owed a fresh start.
Now over to the Caribbean, where we're getting a vision of what might be coming for us. Caribbean nations want reparations now from the British royal family for colonialism. They've set up a few committees over there in a few Caribbean nations, Barbados chief among them, and they're getting together to write letters off to the king to say, we want some money out of you. I'm sure the king is just going to wake up and go, yes, definitely, we're going to send you money, because of course they forget, and let's not forget as well, Lloyd's of London and the Bank of England are also being pursued because of this. God knows why. But what they seem to forget is that in 1834, the Slavery Abolition Act was passed in the UK, which banned slavery across the British Empire. They did that a whole 31 years before the 13th Amendment, which also banned slavery, was passed in the US. So the British were actually a bit ahead of the curve on this one. It's a bit late to be getting on it, but you know, maybe the king will come through. But honestly, what do these Caribbean nations think they're playing at? As if the king's just going to send them a bit of money and say, bugger off. And if it works, let's say the king actually paid reparations to nations in the Caribbean for colonisation. What about forget about colonisation in Australia, what about all the convicts who were forcibly taken from their lands and sent out to Australia to build the joint? Surely they deserve some reparations as well.
Absolutely. Like I said last week, none of this makes sense. If we're going to start enforcing reparations, America should go to the Japs and say reparations for Pearl Harbor, please. The Jews should go to Germany and be like, you have the hugest bill in the history of bills in terms of reparations. It simply doesn't work because history is made up of the most ginormous grievances, like literally unthinkable atrocities. Where does it end? If we have to now, everyone who didn't do anything wrong, paying back the people to whom it was not done to, it is utter nonsense. I'm sure the king will absolutely ignore this.
Well, this is happening worldwide now. I mean, in California, they're talking about paying every African-American person $1 million each to compensate for structural racism. It's happening in the UK. We've got similar arguments happening here. It's a problem right around the Western world now.
Indeed, but I mean, do we go back to the Vikings? I mean, God, we could all at some point go back and find somewhere that someone's been wronged. I mean, I'm sure someone in my family got dudded by someone else at some point. I deserve some money for it. You know, it'd be nice to pay my rent with or whatever. Wouldn't we all like more money?
Okay, so we're talking reparations. We're talking about how it's going to be paid out, how you qualify, who is qualified for it. You know, reparations in the United States, reparations outside the United States. Can a non-U.S. or African-American person get reparations that were meant for slaves within the United States? I go now to MD to start off the conversation.
I knew you would. I knew you would. Hey, listen, man. Terry Crews is this generation's O.J. Simpson. All he missing is the dead white woman, right? he's a dumbass.
And he married one
a complete and utter dumbass. and the reason he said what he said to appease his white audience. But let's get into like what's what. Shout out to Sandy Darity. From Here to Equality on that Dr. Phil show. Look, we talking about a debt. If somebody owe you money on the street, you're not worried about how it's going to get allocated. You want your damn money. It's a debt that is owed. Nothing more, nothing less. We got to stop looking at reparations as some type of systematic appropriations plan for a down group of people. That's not what it is. Reparations is a debt that's owed to a group of people individually based on what the Constitution rectified through the bills that were passed in Congress in 1865, 1866. That's all reparations is. It's simple. It's not something that can be broke down in nuances. And no, it's just a debt. That's all it is. Now, as opposed to black people abroad, it's the same way. You know, I support groups like CARICOM and United Reparations Front and these other international groups. I support it because they understand that reparations is an individual act. Reparations is an individual act based on the harm in that specific dominion, whatever you want to call it. So support other groups like CARICOM. But that's just me. Why? Who keep calling me? Hey, go you to next.
They calling you for reparations.
Probably so.
All right. Anything else on that, MD?
I think he's on a call.
No, you can come back to me. Let me answer this call. Come back to me.
All right,
Come back
then.
to me.
All right. All right, then we'll go to Ricardo next.
All right. So, in terms of the reparations argument, let's just say, because I want MD to be on this call, not this call. In terms of this whole thing, I wanted him to be here. I get what he's saying, but if you notice in the clips in the British segments where she said, "Oh, but if you do reparations for one, you got to do it for everybody. What about when does the Australian convicts, do we have to give them reparations too? What about so and so? And by the way, the British passed a law, and we were the first to beat the Americans, by the way." And I'm sitting there going like, "Oh my God, it will never end." The thing that I find fascinating about that is that even though they passed what do you call it, the abolition law to stop slavery and whatnot,
Yes.
these slave people or the people that own slaves still received residual income after the fact. So then it comes into question now. If that was the case, how are you not then looking at it from a perspective of, if that was the case where they're still receiving residual income from the crown, which is like the queen and the king and so forth, why do you have not a problem with that? But then you're saying for the people asking for it, it's an issue. That's BS. It is complete BS. And this is the reason why you notice with the whole Meghan Markle thing, because that came into question, is that there's an underlying, and again, Mike, I hate the fact that you're correct in this. There's underlying white supremacy going on in any country, whether it be in this country, the United States, whether it be the United Kingdom, whether it be France, whether it be Germany, they all have a white supremacy issue. Because if you don't have a problem with the residual income coming in from the fact that you owned slaves from previous generations back, and then you say, "Oh, but those people now, how dare they come and ask for reparations? Who do they think they are?" They're owed the reparations. It is owed. And this is why I wanted MD to be here. Notice they don't look at it from an angle of, oh, the Jamaicans, the French, the blah, blah, blah. They look at it as everybody being the same exact group. All the black people, all the so-and-so, they all look at us the same, MD. And that's why I wanted to bring to your attention. When it comes to reparations, it's going to be tough because they're not going to look at it from an individualistic point of view. They're going to look at it as everybody as a whole cannot receive it because they are black, because they are this, because history said so, because this is this. That's how they're going to look at it. It's not an individualistic point of view that you're going to get across. It's everybody is painted brushed wise the same exact way. And it doesn't matter which country you're at, they're going to say the same exact thing. It's not fair. It shouldn't be. How dare we? Blah, blah, blah. But mind you, everybody else has gotten reparations. The Japanese received it, believe it or not, when there was concentration camps here from World War II. The Japanese group received their reparations. The other group members have received it. It's only the black people who MD calls the people who've been here way before the immigrants came in. They haven't received theirs. And this is the argument I was trying to bring across last week with him, was when do we collectively as a group of black people come together and say, you know what, enough is enough? We're all under the same paintbrush. When are you gonna come together and say, hey, we're all in the same umbrella here? Because no matter what you look at, you're gonna look at me. You're not gonna look at me and say, oh, you're a black Jamaican, you're a black Haitian, you're a black so and so. You're gonna look at me and say, hey, you're just black. That's how they're gonna look at it. No way, no matter
who's gonna look at it? Who's gonna look at it and say I'm just black and paint the brush? Who's gonna do that?
The main people who have a issue with the whole giving it back, in terms of like for instance, the guy that's on the commentator that was on the British side, when he was saying, oh, but do you think King Charles now is going to give why should he take up his hard-earned money and give back to those people in the Caribbean, so and so? They're not looking at it from an individual point of view, MD. They're looking at it from everybody broad stroke under the same umbrella. That's the point.
But I get what you're saying, but I don't give a damn what they say. I care what the Constitution say. What the Constitution say about that? Because the Constitution say the exact opposite of what you're saying.
True, but then do you think the actual politicians here are going to still side with the same thing that you're saying? They're not going to do the same thing either. They're going to say,
well, I get what you're saying, but that's the exposure of these particular people. We had this go on earlier this year with the affirmative action.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was in an uproar based on what the affirmative action ruling was, but the ruling went off of what the Constitution say. But because we have this democratic mindset of, oh, the Republicans just don't like black people, they gave you the cheat code on how to even start building a case for reparations in the affirmative action plan, in the affirmative action rule. I'm sorry, because it clearly says that affirmative action was unconstitutional based on the fact that you deem it as a racial aspect of giving an uplift. You can't do that. You can't do it by race.
So in other
the
words,
Constitution say you can't.
So in other words, like a white person can't. They're gonna look at it like, oh, but you're discriminating against me because I'm white and I can't come into an all black school.
That's why you don't do anything by race.
Mm.
We the ones that fought for that during the Civil War, and now we turn around and want to do stuff by race. It's an oxymoron. So that's why you build a case on reparations based on lineage, not race. Everything goes off of lineage in this country. Y'all proving it by saying white supremacy. I mean, I got my. I'm not saying white supremacy don't exist, but I got my reservations on how it works. Let's just say that.
I got you.
So what I'm saying is, when you're talking about reparations, and this ain't just an American thing, this is a worldwide thing.
Correct.
The Caribbean slave trade, I mean, the Caribbeans that were slaves are doing it, CARICOM specifically. And that's why I love CARICOM and I support them. They're doing it based off the lineage of the Jamaican slaves in their country.
But CARICOM
That's
is
the way.
Go
ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, but CARICOM is basically the Caribbean community. It's basically all the countries in the Caribbean collectively as a group coming together to say we're forming. It's kind of like the precursor to what. Like,
but based off of what though? Ricardo? The British Crown.
Right. Well, CARICOM was from made up from the West Indian Federation, which was when all the islands collectively as a group wanted to gain independence from Great Britain as a whole. The reason that the West Indian Federation didn't work out was because at the time Jamaica would have been the main the main contributor towards all these islands. In other words, Jamaica would be like how the United States is the main money banker to NATO. Like, if you notice, that was the one thing about Trump that I like, that he was the first president to go, listen, I'm not going to keep funding all these things that you guys want. You guys going to contribute or get out of NATO. So that was one of the things that if I could even back him would be that one thing right there where he was like, you know what, why are we still funding things that are unnecessary? The same thing with the West Indian Federation. Jamaica was like, hell to the no, we're not going to do this, because if we're the largest island in the entire collective Caribbean as a whole, and we have to fund every other Caribbean country, that's not going to work out for our best interests. So we might as well just exit out. So they left. And when they left, Trinidad was like, all right, well, if Jamaica is leaving and we're the second largest country, we're not going to fund anybody else. So we're out too. So once that started happening, it's a domino effect. Everybody started getting their independence individually. And then the West Indian Federation fell apart. That's when CARICOM came back into play, when they were like, okay, well, we can't just be independent now. We have to be a Caribbean country, which CARICOM kind of has its flaws, because Dominican Republic is like, well, we're a part of the Caribbean, but you guys are not including us. Yeah, but you're kind of a Latino country, so you're still, you're kind of a part of the Caribbean, but you're kind of not. So that's a whole other argument in itself. Sorry, Dominican Republic folks, it's nothing personal, but CARICOM.
Yeah, and y'all should have did that, because the political reality with really the whole of Hispaniola, to tell you the truth, but their political reality is different from y'all's, because y'all come up under the same umbrella, which is the British Crown. I ain't got no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fall for it. He gonna use it against you later.
What you mean?
I'm prepared for him.
And that's what I'm saying. At least y'all have a commonality based off of how y'all got there. Our commonality is the United States as a whole, how the federal government subsidized slavery, pretty much.
But
that's all we're saying. Well, go ahead.
No, but then again, so then if that's the case, we're gonna your argument is lineage. So if we're gonna go by lineage, then as an argument, do you then not see the contribution of everybody else that has been a part of the cause for the blackness in terms of the progressiveness of the country? You don't look at it from the point of view of then if you're gonna go by lineage, what about what Sidney Poitier has done for the black community? What has Auntie has done for the black community? What about Colin Powell? Because he's his parents were immigrants. They were Jamaican immigrants. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You're gonna have to look at everything else that falls. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Yes,
I get your point.
I get and I understand your point with the Constitution, because I'm also, I hate to say it as well, I'm a part constitutionalist, but you have to compartmentalize the fact that the power to be is not going to look at it like their whole argument is, why am I giving you money? Because then you're gonna basically run out that money by probably like a month or two after we give you the money. So we do it by generational wealth. How do you come about establishing an argument for generational wealth if you're going to go by lineage? Do you then do what you call it now, where everybody does their DNA testing thing kit with Lincoln so and so and so, and we go back all the way to Sierra Leone or Monrovia or wherever?
Oh, hell no. We go back to slavery, like I said.
But
the lineage is based upon and as a matter of fact, it don't go all the way back to slavery. I'm glad you said that. It goes back to it goes from the Freedmen's Bureau Act of 1866. That's where it goes back to. It's not, and this gonna sound crazy, it's not necessarily about reparations, is not necessarily about slavery. It's about what the legislation promised a certain group of people in the Reconstruction era. 40 acres and a mule, it was the launching pad. The Freedmen's Bureau Act of 1866 extended 40 acres and a mule to everybody that was a freedman, meaning an emancipated slave and their ancestry. That's the literal definition. So based on that, we can go, here's the paperwork saying that we're supposed to have this. I don't give a damn about slavery. I don't care about racism. I don't care about generational wealth. When you get your money, I go this way, you go that way. But so here's the paperwork. Go ahead.
No, so where do they go then from there? If that's the case, where you said based on what you're just saying just now, where do they go then? Do you then leave the entire United States continental wise and go where? Where are you gonna go? Because then that's I'm trying to figure out where in your mindset where. So let's say hypothetically the group of people that you're fighting for gets the reparations, the people that it was owed to. Then from that point of view, from that standpoint of view, where do you go from there? Do you stay here or do you form your own country? Do you go to Africa where the Africans like where?
I can answer that question. He don't care.
I don't care. Exactly.
Yes. Y'all not listening to him? He's the individualist. He got his money. You got your money. Do your thing. That's him.
Mike called it.
Yes.
You're doing that shuffle, Ricardo. I can't let you do that. You trying to pin me into a social order, and that ain't what.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate because I want to hear your argument to see where you're going, because I'm trying to paint the picture of letting you know what the powers to be want, and what your group in terms of the collective people that want that it's owed to want, and then the people that are the immigrants that are like, well, we're individualistic because this is what the Black Americans think of us want. So then it's like a power play. Where do you go from where? Because you have to have a compromise somewhere. At what point in time do we all as a group of people that look the same? Because when I look at you, MD, you're Black. When I look at Mike, he's Black. When I look at Venkat, he's Black. whether or not he accepts it, or whether you accept it, or whether Mike accepts it, whether or not I accept it, we are Black. So then where do we collectively as a group progress forward from when you get your money is what I'm trying to get at. This is what I'm trying to get in terms of the commonality. Where do we come into we're in accordance here? Because that's where I'm lost in terms of what you're saying and what because you complained. I wouldn't say you complain, but you're saying that when immigrants come here, we don't understand your strife, and you will never, and therefore you should understand ours, kind of thing. It's a back and forth tussle. So it's like, it's annoying to me, because that's where I'm saying, if we do that contribution wise, when everybody else has contributed to the whole Black cause, do you not look at that in terms of they should be a part of it, or no? That's where I'm trying to understand your rationale in all this.
In the United States, well, they should, because it's not their fight. You said Sidney Poitier. Link Sidney Poitier to the Freedmen's Bureau Act of 1866. If you could do that, then we got a conversation. If you can't, Sidney Poitier don't matter. I don't care what he did in the Civil Rights era. I just don't.
And what about Harry Belafonte? Wasn't he a part of the whole Civil Rights era movement as well? In terms
I commend him for it, but can you link him?
But you commend him for it, but didn't he not contribute? That's the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, so what is his reparations claim? You got to tell me what that is. That's
MD.
Because I tell you specifically what reparations is. It ain't based off racism. It just ain't. It's based off something very, very, very specific. Very specific. And that's where we get in the sauce as to why you got dumb white folks that don't understand it use these arguments based off of race. And that's where I come in.
Yeah, you notice in the video, it's very troubling. You see, Dr. Phil does it. The UK people, they did it too.
Mm-hmm.
Where first of all, they had a tone that was very belittling. Like, we're gonna give you money. You know, but what they'll be like, they'll do the classic Putin strategy, right? Whataboutism. Or what about this segment that had a hardship here? What about these people in this time? What about, and then it devalue, sort of like the Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. You know, devalue the movement, take the focus away from what the very specific thing is, and then you don't have a way to go forward. And
thank you. You are to add.
Yeah, it's very problematic, and it's a strategy that's so blatant.
Well, since y'all didn't leave me nothing on the bone, and since Venkat didn't ask me to speak because I'm an other,
sorry,
I'm just gonna go ahead and put my foot and my toe in this water, and I'm gonna take it a different direction.
Dip it.
I think they should make it be known that it's not for the government. Well, the government has to do its part too, but I think reparations should be paid by majority by the companies that benefited. I think all those companies that benefited from free labor should also, and I think if you let that be the lead, it'll give white supremacy a little, oh, okay, well, it's not coming out of my taxes. I think it'll give them a little something to grab on and be like, okay, because they keep saying no one gets reparations, but everybody's getting reparations but us. Everybody has gotten it. Everybody. So I'm thinking we need to tax like all of them, like just like how they tax. I'm not gonna say any names, but for the Jewish people, they need to tax all these companies for us. Well, for MD because he don't see us.
So, hey, Mike. So there's got to be a way to trace all this slave money that benefit people that are around today.
I agree.
Their past was set up on a foundation of free labor from slaves.
Yes. Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
See what happens when you pay attention to others?
I don't think that would be very hard to do and establish.
Not at all.
Yeah, you see white people rail against this reparation so hard, but you never hear them get all frantic and crazy when we're given to military, to wars, to politicians, we're given to oil company, we're given to sugar, corn, Like all that money just goes and is diverted over there. No problem. Even Ukraine, frig 'em. Everybody gets it. But as soon as we talk about a specific thing like they tense up. I don't get it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
And we need to start normalizing that y'all disagree with me. You don't need to say that I hate to agree with Mike again. Just admit that I'm right. It's okay.
Okay, so
I just say it.
I agree with you,
Mike is right.
Let me fact that I agree with you. What after?
I was actually aiming that at Ricardo, but you can take some too.
Oh no! After the Civil War and Reconstruction was going on, one of the acts that they passed was the Recompensation Act. That actually, what you just said, Mike, they took money from prominent businesses that benefited from the slave trade, like Lehman Brothers, like tax and all these other companies, and taxed the hell out of them. That money was supposed to then be used to give us, quote unquote, 40 acres and a mule. It
And
never
what did
happened.
white supremacy do?
It did white supremacy, and I don't disagree with that.
There you go.
Wow. That's crazy, man. That's some crazy stuff. There's a lot of stuff in history that has not been reckoning with. And if DeSantis gets his way, he'll keep it that way.
I agree.
So the paper trail is there. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said it's very specific. This is something that was supposed to happen and didn't. And it's under legislation right now as we speak. If we go by the legislation and not by the harms, then we got a better shot. We just got to get enough people to recognize that and get out of. That's why I say
fatalist. It'll never happen. Once you start saying you got to get people, it'll never happen. People suck.
As black, it ain't. I give you that.
Say it again. I didn't hear you.
I said as long as we keep saying black, it's not gonna happen. I give you that because black is the outlier.
Okay, Americans better.
Freedmen. That's gonna do it because that's what's written. So I'm going off of that.
All right, freedmen.
Freedmen.
Well, hold on. I was freed as well. My people were freed as well. Aren't we freedmen as well?
Not under the Reconstruction Act. You wasn't.
he ain't giving none of his mythological dimes away.
I know, right? Nothing at all. Not even.
Hell, in fact, y'all was free 30-some years before we were.
And the first thing we did was try to get Haitians. Well, no, we tried to get Haitians free first, and then we got freed because they were freed first.
They were freed first, correct? The first black republic.
And they should, everybody should come together and make France pay that money back. I swear to God.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
In Britain, didn't Britain abolish slavery like 1830 something? It was 1830 something, I believe.
Very early, correct.
Trying to be,
but here's the funny thing about it. If you know what's that actor that's called he's Doctor Strange in Marvel, Cumberbatch, what's his damn name?
Cumberbatch.
What's his name?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes, there you go. His family were actually beneficiaries of the slave trade. So from when they did the whole abolishment of slavery and whatnot, somebody did research the other day and found out that his family was a part of it, and they were I guess they were heavy in Barbados or something like that, and they literally they reached out to him and was like, yo, so you're gonna, now that we found and we did the research and blah, 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 and your family has been contributing to this whole slavery, whatnot, that we were seeking for reparations because, Barbados became a republic. I think it was last year. And he is yet to respond. He was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. That was my family. I am just the innocent bystander and all this. And everybody was like, well, you became a rich person off the backbones of people being slaves. So if they're asking you for reparations, or you think it's like fair that you contribute most of your wealth, and he's like, no. He said, hell no. And I found that very indicative of what is coming because, like I said, when you do the research for the lineage of most of these people that you see that people like to put on a pedestal, most of these people, if you look back, they are beneficiaries of the whole slave conversation. So it'd be interesting going forward how that's going to work or pan out for some of these people. That,
well, let let me counteract that. Not necessarily here in America, it was like that. It was a very small percentage of people that were planters in America. So it was a very small percent. And you can akin it to the 1% in America. Whereas you had the businesses that were insuring and stuff like it was a machine. But the majority of Americans in this country benefited off of, hell, you might as well say reparations through homestead acts. They garnered their wealth by free land. We were supposed to get the same thing, but it didn't happen. That's why the monetary aspect of reparations is based on that land that was the resource of us garnering that generational wealth. People don't look at it that way. They look at it all just nigga buying a Newport truck. If that,
I love that vision.
You know, but the monetary aspect of reparations is based off the land that was supposed to be allocated to the emancipated slave, based off of just imagine if Negroes would have got 40 acres and a mule during Reconstruction. We would be on top of the United States right now.
No,
on top
they would have threw bombs at it and killed you all.
Yeah, they would have. They would have come up with every conceivable way of like trying to.
They're always ready. They're always ready to pull a rabbit out the ass.
Violence is always their go-to when Negroes are doing too well. They did that, and legislation. What's that law? Where they can just take your land because it's community property or the city needs it.
Eminent domain.
Eminent domain. That's how they got Central Park. Got them black people right up out of there.
Got them out quick.
It's a lot of places that they did like that. I mean, Lakeland there here in Georgia, they did eminent. I get it. I'm trying to dream here. Y'all won't let me dream.
I'm sorry, my brother. I'm a fatalist. I'm a reality-based person.
But in any aspect, in my dream, had we got 40 acres and a mule, we would be an economic powerhouse right now. Point blank, period. Especially the mindset that we had back then. But you know, like I said, that's where the monetary aspect of reparations comes into play. It's not based on anything else except for that.
So real quick, we talk about like reparations. So if you had the power to make reparations the law of the land and it was going to be distributed tomorrow, how would we do it? Is it by dollars, education, land, or any other commodity of value? What would be the best way forward? Because according to Dr. Phil, 6 months later, you'll be broke.
Exactly. Did you hear that part too?
Yeah.
So be it. But it's got to be money because there's not enough land now. So it's got to be money.
So no, we're not gonna go with that, MD. So what about like Hawaii and Puerto Rico? They could give land. There's enough space in continental US for them to still distribute land. That is
no, Ricardo, I can't let you do that. I shouldn't have to Kokomo to get what I
not Kokomo.
That was the funny almost racism I've ever heard in my life.
But from the South.
He said Club Coke. Yo, that's hilarious.
My United States of America. That's where we belong.
Then they'll probably they probably move them white people out of Montana and send all y'all Negroes there.
Well, no, they did have a black homestead in Montana, and
what happened to it? Tell me what happened to it, MD.
Yeah, what? I'm curious.
I can't say it. What's the magic word?
You know what happened to it?
Peace to Zay. Peace. Shout out to Zay. Peace to Zay.
What up, Zay?
What up, Zay?
But that's why, like I said, if you're looking at it from a land aspect, the land that was allocated is not there any longer. So therefore, give me my money.
So Trevor is also supporting that idea that most people will be broke.
Okay.
But I remember one time MDU was saying, just give me the money. If I go broke, that's on you. That's your individual right. But you should get the money. And then whatever happened, good or bad, at least the money was dispersed. And if you fail or succeed, that's on the person.
That's America, baby.
Bro,
I agree with
America
that.
would go through a freaking boom if they gave black people the money.
Well, they'll be giving it right back to white people, right?
I agree. But that's what
Nobody would think. You wouldn't think to just do black owned or some other
whoa.
minority.
We're not talking about us. See, I'm not women.
Yeah.
You know how no matter what, women always see another woman as their contemporary, even though she a thought pocket in a whore bag.
Yeah.
You're like, but she's a woman. No, I don't see stupid people that just happen to be black men as my contemporary. Just like I don't see women beating black men as my contemporary. They're not my contemporary. The people who are like me, the people who are on this podcast, the people who are on other podcasts, they're going to do something with that money.
Right.
They're going to do something. The people who are a little less intelligent than me, I'm going to force them, hey, you listen to me. Go get you some financial literacy. There's a white man over here. Matter of fact, it's 2023. There's a black guy over here who'll probably still rob you, but he'll teach you about money. Go learn. Go sit down and learn. Learn how to use debt. Learn how to put your money in things that it can accrue. Learn how to go buy some of those islands that that MD don't want. Excuse me, that MD don't want, but all Americans seem to jump to the Bahamas and buy an island over there because they're always on sale. Go learn to buy some land. Buy a house everywhere. Give some of these rich whites that have a whole bunch of land and nothing to do with it. Go ahead and talk to them and be like, hey, I won't move in here, but I just like to own this land. Do you mind if I get 10, 12 acres off you? Oh, sure. We were trying to take the wife to Hawaii this year. Get some of that land.
But is that a requirement though, Mike? That's what I'm asking.
No. This is not requirement. That's not what we got to answer the question like you told me. This isn't requirements. This is what I told you people of my ilk will do. What the Negro, what the fool who gonna buy the nigga who gonna buy the Newport truck, I'm happy for him. I'm gonna walk next to him and be like, hey bro, let me get a pack. And he'll give me one because when niggas got money, they can't wait to throw it away. Cool. Thank you, sir. And I'm gonna hang it up like Scrooge McDuck's first nickel. I'm gonna hang that shit up in it. This was the last purchase of a dumbass Negro I once knew. I'm gonna hang it right there. It's gonna be amazing. But I'm talking about what we're gonna do. I'm gonna try to get my like-minded people, and we're gonna try to buy Georgia. That's my dream.
You got every right to do that. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not disparaging group economics. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is you got every right to do whatever the hell you want to do with your money because it's your money. Just like that land would have been your land.
I'm the only one that understands you. The only difference is my views are fatalistic and yours are just get your shit, get yours and go. I respect it. I respect it highly because I agree. I know everybody wants a kumbaya moment and everybody wants us all to join hands and it ain't gonna happen. There's always a sellout in the crew. Yes, there's always somebody willing to switch up. There's always someone who'll sell you out for some money. There's always a dude who said, get your hands out my pocket. There's always that dude. I can't live for that dude. Just like I told him yesterday, I'm not dying for you ladies. I gotta ride for my baby. My baby's gonna have financial literacy. She gonna be smart. My baby's gonna have the Biggie Smalls thing. I got accountants watching accountants so I don't go broke. She gonna have 3.
How powerful would it be though if with the infusion of that cash and then everybody from that community that gets the cash just keeps trading the cash around in that close-knit community? It would be such a powerful thing because you would be getting business would be flourishing for the Black community and people will be empowered economically to build themselves up in such a major way while also building the people around them up. And it would just be a really powerful thing that could last generations.
Like I tell Kevin when he says that
you would never need any outside force to survive.
Like I tell Kevin when he talks that foolishness on Mondays. I'd love to get a passport so I could visit that dream world you're living in, sir.
Right. And like I said, to me, when it comes to reparations, hypothetically, if we were to get it, we're not going to be able to change our social norm in a generation. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
But I am optimistic in thinking that if we use the money right, and like I said, the stragglers going to get left behind. That's cool. I ain't got no issue with that. But you will start to see a social change within us within the next 2 to 3 generations that will enable us to be like-minded when it comes to economics in this country. That's just what I believe.
I'm with
I
you.
mean, like crime will drastically go. Like everybody that grew up in the hood knows why shit go down in the hood. More times than not, it's based off of money. You getting rid of that aspect. Now you still gonna have to do like you gonna have to do. Oh, they done gave me this money. I'm finna go buy 2-3 bricks. I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Did Cliff just say reparations is the same thing like Santa Claus coming for Christmas? I can't with you, man.
Yeah, Cliff is saying that it's Christmas time when reparations get paid.
Cliff. Hey, it may be Christmas time. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna sit here and say I ain't gonna buy me something nice. I ain't saying that.
Wait, I was.
What are you gonna have, MD? A mink coat on? What are you gonna have?
Not.
I might come out the house with a fur coat and some fishbowl platform shoes on.
But what if the vegans throw blood on your new mink coat? I mean,
buy 2 more.
we gonna have So basically saying that the nigga dysfunction gonna take over is what you're saying, Venkat. I get it. I get it. But again, like I said, it's not gonna happen overnight. The social aspect, it's not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take 2 to 3 generations. That for the responsible, I'm talking about. Let me get clear. The responsible ones. It's gonna take 2 or 3 generations for that generational wealth to manifest, and when that manifests, the social change in how we interact with each other will change. But it's gonna take time. You know. In the meantime, niggas gonna be niggas. I get it. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm gonna have a gate around my house.
You saw that Key and Peele where they were like saying that gay people were gonna finally be able to get married, and the one guy that's playing for one of the gay guys in the couple, he was like, "Whoa, we're gonna have insurance now. I'm gonna get me a tail. I'm gonna have all kinds of things added to my body, like all kinds of unnecessary stuff." It's just so ridiculous.
See, I gotta address Trevor because Trevor trying to, Trevor's a xenophobe. So I gotta, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trevor's a xenophobe.
We've been presented with the image of money through rappers and entertainers. That money is going back to Whitey.
Fact.
Yeah, and he's gonna try to exclude himself out of that. Listen, just as many white folks buy Jordans than we do. They the ones got the money for it. We bust ass to do it. You know what I'm saying? So what you talking about, Trevor, is consumerism, but you want to downplay it to black folk, and that's just not true.
When black people do consumerism, it's a negative thing, but when white people do it, it's just a Tuesday.
Right.
It's keeping the economy fresh.
Yeah. So he tried to downplay that on black folk. You know what I'm saying? But again, consumerism is consumerism. That's just what it is, and it's always gonna be. You ain't gonna be able to change it. But hey, it's up to you how you spend your money.
So with all the talk of reparations, MD, do you feel like it will actually happen within your lifetime?
Yeah, will they come
in my life? I may be old and gray when it happened, but I'm seeing the foundation being built on what's going on right now with a lot of these black blocks in a lot of these metropolitan areas. They're getting fed up with a lot of stuff, and they're waking up politically to something that I don't think they had access to before. California is a highlight of that, and I think so goes with California, the rest of the nation will go. And they're doing it the right way, based off of the amount of research. Like I said, Sandy Darity on that Dr. Phil clip, he is the foremost scholar when it comes to this. He broke it down, and you got to go back and look at that whole show. Like, he destroyed Dr. Phil. when you go and do your actual research, and not come through bias of what, and like you said, Ricardo, being a constitutionalist, look at how it's working toward you, not against you. Again, I go back to the court ruling of the affirmative action. So many black people were upset about that, but they couldn't see what the confirming arguments were based off of how the Constitution says, from an aforementioned point of Reconstruction, how things work. Anything racial is discrimination, whether it be positive or negative. You just can't do it. So then you got to turn around. Okay, how do I get benefits from my particular group of people, not based off of race? That's the starting line. And the freedman aspect is that starting line. So yes, I think it will happen in my generation. I may not reap the benefits of it, but I think it'll happen.
From your lips to God's ears, my G.
and that's all we can do.
Yeah, that's it, man.
And if it does, let me hold something.
Oh my God.
I told you better get like Trevor, get you a Negro woman.
I tried, but Moon Goddess won't give me none.
Well, hey, there's plenty of them out there, man. Hey, just hop the border to South Georgia, man. There's plenty of them down there
with the thickums.
Hey, that's a good ass.
Get you a Southern Belle, man, and stop tripping. Get out the land. See, you right there on the international line too. You in Central Florida, so you can hop up there, man. You ain't got to go far.
You know what? I might do that, bro.
You ain't got to go get your Southern Belle from Valdosta or something, man. You'll be all right.
I ain't mad. Hey, bro. As long as I don't even need much.
Oh.
Don't go to Savannah though. Them hood rat. Don't go to Savannah. You got to go to Middle South Georgia, Valdosta, somewhere around there.
I'm gonna take your advice.
All right, so we're about to go into the last video segment of the night, the nightcap video, the final video of the show. Before we go into it, any final words on what we covered today? Reparations, Biden, anything in particular anyone wants to final word on?
I just want to state how you forgot to call on me again. I had to call on myself because you ignored me and make me feel like others.
You didn't give me the chance, Mike.
No, I'm gonna stick with my story. It sounds better when I say it this way.
All right, Ricardo.
Go ahead, Ricardo.
Great argument in regards to the whole reparation thing. MD, I'm still going to say it because I am an immigrant, so I got to say it to you. We are all in this together. We sound like a High School Musical. Yeah, I don't mind getting a few dollars or two when you get your reparations. Will it happen time? We'll see. But
MD, he wouldn't qualify, right? He would be ineligible.
I'm
born. Yeah. You married, ain't you, Ricardo?
I am. Proudly.
Yeah. You married? You married to your own kind?
To my
your
own
kind. This thing is
hilarious. Don't tell your wife, man. You might have to get your side piece. Hey, listen. Hop in the car with Mike, man. Hop in the car with Mike and go on up to South Georgia. Don't tell nobody. I ain't say that.
It's gonna be like Boys in the Hood. After a while of driving, Mike gonna say, "Pull over, pull over."
You a lie. Mike ain't getting out of the car when women's involved.
You ain't hear that from me, Ricardo. You ain't hear that. So don't come back to me talking about your wife that hit you in the head. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Valdosta or bust.
Okay, and MD, any final words on the reparations? Even like a non-African American getting reparations?
Again, I'm all for all my black people getting reparations. We just have to do it the right way.
You finally
why y'all be messing with MD?
Yeah, we just got to do it. We got to be like Voltron, man. We gonna have to have our strong suits individually as our own nationalities. Then we can come together.
But there's two different types of Voltrons. There's the lions and then there's the cars. So you got to know
sir.
which.
Well, I mean,
there's
hey, man,
Voltron. There's the lions, and then there's some other bull crap that somebody made.
It's the cars. The same. They're Voltron
there's the
too.
lions and some bull crap that somebody made.
Nah, come on.
That's it.
Whichever iteration you want. We got to work on our own political identities first. Then once that happens, I'm all for Pan-Africanism. It's steps to it. Once I get my money, peace, my brother. You know what I'm saying? I shake
like
and all
a
of that
heist
stuff.
movie.
Yeah, it does.
I put my hat on, I put my dashiki on, and we can all, you know what I'm saying? We can do the Kwanzaa, whatever you want to do.
Oh God!
Can I be?
But until
the
then,
associate? Can I be the associate that walks behind you holding the big brick of money as you go around buying all the cars in Dubai?
I see all you guys wearing president's masks, like in that movie with Patrick Swayze. They just have president's masks, robbing banks and stuff like that.
Why you ain't just say wear masks like in Dead Presidents? This black movie.
No, they didn't wear the. Did they wear the president's mask? No, they didn't do that.
Yeah, they had the face paint on.
They had white. They had just regular white.
I'm saying you could have referenced the black
Point
movie.
Break. I'm talking about Point Break.
Yeah, I want you to reference black movies.
Oh,
okay.
Yo, I love bothering Venkat. You have no idea.
But yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
Okay. All right, so let's go into the nightcap video, and we'll be back.
That's right. Read the shirt. Today we're here at Target. Let's go in and see what they got going on for Pride Month. So right now I'm standing. This is great. They're definitely not pushing this to your kids at all. And my personal favorite, really want to make your presence known? It's not a phase, Dad. Also got coloring books. Hold on, let's... You know, it's normal, right? All the people out there on the internet that's saying they're not trying to push this on our kids, this isn't Target. Okay, so maybe you're wrong.
All right, what do we think about that?
Yeah, let your conservatism out. Who gonna do it first?
Somebody got to do it.
We silent.
I mean, this is the most silence.
Trevor wouldn't be silent.
No, he would not. He would not. Come on, Mike.
No, yeah, hey, Mike.
This is supposed to be the most dangerous political panel.
Hey, I'll say this. I don't care if you're gay or whatever, but again, I'm a constitutionalist. We have to understand how to view stuff, right? When we're talking about pushing certain agendas on children, that violates the rights of that child because that child doesn't have the admirable rights that we have based on their minority. So that aspect, if you want to consider me conservative about that, cool. I will say this though. I understand from my political viewpoint that it's a push based on a political agenda, which is the Democratic Party. Democratic Party knows that I have to do this based on this particular demographic having a certain status in the society. I did a graph on the show that I did one day. Transgenders and it was corporate America. Take that for what it's worth. But transgenders are over 30% now in the corporate world. Transgenders have a certain social status, not based off their sexuality, but based off their wealth, based off their economic status,
based off their whiteness,
based off their white male.
But yeah, Venkat, keep it real. You see black people that are gay, that are in high positions in corporate America, in business entities, so on and so forth. It ain't just white.
Between gay and transgender, sir.
Well, I live in Atlanta. Dude, I live in Atlanta.
Hilarious.
I see it. I see this. Like these people are high level people. They may go around and flaunt and do their thing on the weekend, but these people have good jobs. They live in condos downtown. So we looking at, okay, how can I pander to this specific demographic in order to maintain a certain status within the party? That's all this is. And I think if people look at that, maybe they'll have a different viewpoint on how to attack the quote unquote gay transgender agenda. You know what I'm saying? But they look at it from a conservative aspect, and I think that's where they fail. Conservatism is dying in America. Let's just keep it real.
It is.
Conservatism is dying in America. I'm talking about moral conservatism.
No,
It's been a death. It's been a death. But I look at it.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, MD. I look at it like, okay, so he's complaining about Target doing this whole gay pride theme thing. There's a few things that go through my head. One of the things is, well, this is something geared towards a specific group of people. Target would do, what's that Irish holiday? St. Patrick's or Valentine's or Easter or what. I think they're just doing, a theme thing for a specific demographic of people. So there are young, gay, transgender, whatever you want to call it, all that stuff. They have those people.
Stuff.
Well, oh God, now that's the latest others now. all that stuff.
All
party.
that mixed up alphabet.
Yeah, so they actually exist, and Target is like, okay, there is a financial motivation to highlight that and to represent that. So we have Republicans, conservatives, they're all about the business and business. Well, this business made a business decision, and now the same conservatives are pissed off because they don't like that group. And now it's an agenda, whereas, well, no, maybe it's just hey, we're going to throw something your direction, When it's Mother's Day, there's a bunch of mommy things. When it's Christmas, there's a bunch of I'm saying, so it's Gay Pride Month or whatever. So they did a theme thing for them, which involves gay-related products and whatnot. It's not for you. But in the video, he's like, you can tell by his tone, he's mocking it and whatnot, but it's not for you. It's not for you. So I don't have a problem with it because I don't really base my life off of what other people are doing. As long as you're not hurting somebody or doing something kind of immoral or wrong, I don't really care. But a lot of people have vested interest in other people's bedrooms. I don't get that. Go ahead, MD. I'm sorry for breaking you up.
No. That was the other point I was gonna make. Like we talking about making money at the end of the day. Now, mind you, Target took down a lot of that stuff that they had. I don't know if you remember, they had they was doing the swimsuits during the summer that had the extra room in the bottom.
No.
And people was in the outrage, and you know what I'm saying, they took them out. So I mean, again, it's a certain aspect of the conservative right that had now this is in pockets. Well, I ain't gonna say pockets. This is the vast inside of the United States that still have a certain influence based off of moral conservatism. Like I said, I don't give a damn about moral conservatism. It is what it is. But there are still certain influences. Now, again, if you look at it from that aspect, okay, cool. But at the end of the day, it's Target trying to get another dollar from somebody else. But it's also go along with the get along based off of the continuation of what the social status is at that particular time. So yeah, of course, big business is gonna take advantage of it.
Consumerism
But,
at its finest.
yeah. Bud Light, anybody? What's another one? I mean, you know what I mean? Hell, you can't find a movie that ain't got no gay person in it.
Yeah,
they
but
gonna push it to the moon.
And
Trevor goes crazy.
And so also to add to your consumerism argument, well, MD, guess who bought Bud Light or the largest amount of shares from it the other day? You want to make a guess? Bill
Who's
Gates.
that?
Bill Gates.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be damned.
With that.
And the NFL didn't drop him either. NFL still partnered with him. So
the NFL only gets mad when Negroes do something like kneel.
When they kneel.
Yeah, I know, and that's how outrageous The blacks are kneeling.
Oh God, it's ruining the country.
It's disrespectful to the American country. No, I'm done.
Look at how his knee disrupts the grass growth.
You kneeling is insulting the soldiers and the cops and the flag.
Even though
By the way, I'm going to take that flag and I'm going to beat the cop with it. So here you go, 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah,
the irony.
All right,
folks, great show. What we got going for tomorrow, Venkat?
So tomorrow on Wrestling with Reality, we had the big sale. Big sale. We have no McMahon owning WWE in the company's history. Never has it been before. A McMahon hasn't been the wielder of all the muscle behind the product. So it'll be interesting. There's some stuff I don't know. I know Trevor got that up and down, so I'm really looking forward to that show to hear all the information that comes out. That's going to be a big show tomorrow. It's tomorrow at 6:05.
Yes,
6:05. Old WCW Saturday night, 6:05 time. But that's right. That's right.
TBS.
Including others.
All right. So any last words, any notable mentions, any plugs, anything? Roll it around the room, starting with others.
Oh wow. I knew I was going to be last. Thank you. Well, I'd like you all to remember that can hear my voice. White supremacy is real. But you can't do anything about it. So just make sure your kids smile at least once a day. Get as much money as you can. Bust as many nuts as you can. And please try to vote. Don't just vote for the president. Read a book. Learn something. Vote for these locals. I get tired of being in black neighborhoods, going to their little functions, and I see the white chairman. It makes no sense. There's more black people in this this section of the locale. Like, come on, do better, black people. Please vote more than just the president, and stop just going down hitting every DEM you see, because some of them suck too.
Yep,
that's all I got.
Real word spoken. What's going on, Ricardo?
Nothing else to add other than great argument. The one of the baddest panelists politically in the game. You guys were awesome. MD, we're trying to free you still, so I'm gonna still hit the hashtag free MD20 campaign.
Eagles.
We still trying to free you. Yeah, I can't wait for tomorrow's event with Trevor telling us what's going to go down with the mustache and WWE, because as a avid fan, I'm intrigued. I'm very much intrigued to see where it's going to go from here. But from the sidelines and the bandwagonists, I'll see. I'll leave it at that. But great show.
Yeah, peace, man. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, man. I'm about to play Starfield for a couple hours before I go to sleep. That's it.
Let me take 2 of his seconds. Valdosta or bust. Okay, that's it.
All right. So next week's Take Fist Politics is going to be Obama versus Trump. We'll look at their policies. We'll look at the way their styles and the way they handle their campaigns, their personalities, their demeanor. We'll look at all kinds of aspects between the two, and we'll see if we can come up with a winner. Trump. Never.
I can come up with a loser.
Oh yeah.
Us.
You know what? It's that old tagline from Alien versus Predator. No matter who wins, we lose.
Big facts. Big facts.
All right. So I'd like to thank my panel, the most dangerous panel in politics, MD20, Michael, and
who?
What? Okay. The others, and Ricardo. I appreciate you guys for being on the panel tonight. Again, we got Wrestling with Reality coming on tomorrow at 6:05. We have plenty of different shows. Like Trevor says, we have something for everybody. We got Pour Your Heart Out. We got the UFC show with the MMA brothers.
Yes,
Yeah, we're just loaded to the brim. And of course, Trevor is doing all the Dolphin shows except for next week. So he'll be doing a post show to recap all the Dolphins games this season. So it's a lot of exciting things happening in Straight Talk Society. So keep watching because there's so much to see. Thank everybody that came on tonight. Thank everybody in the chat. We'll see you all tomorrow, and we'll see you all next week on Tape Fist Politics. Good night.
Good night.
Said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to say it. Okay. You're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, that's